Okay, we should be live. Hello and welcome to Colin Bradley Artcast. I'm Stephen Bradley.
And I'm Colin Bradley.
How you doing, Dad?
All the better for seeing you over the weekend, Steve. That was great, you and the family.
Yes, yeah, it was lovely to come down and see everyone. The kids had a really lovely time, as did we. Yeah, it was really lovely to see everyone. We don't get down very often, don't get a chance to. It's like a military operation just getting out of the house sometimes. But it was really nice to come down. We had a really nice day.
Well, we do see them several times a week on the video and photographs you send. So we kept in touch. Nothing like the real thing, though, especially when you can bounce them on your lap. That's lovely.
Yeah, it was a really good time. I had a great time. But yeah. How have you been otherwise, though? You been all right, Dad?
Yes, that's all right. Yes, I've been working, out and about, working, doing a little bit, and we're going to do a little bit of my work today. I don't do as much as I used to. I find short bursts now, and I think it's a good thing. I work sometimes for about an hour, perhaps an hour and a half. Sometimes it's shorter than that. But fortunately, what I do, I can pick up and put down. That's a wonderful thing about the pastel pencil. You just put the pencil down. When you start, you pick it up again. Switch the recorder on, and off you go. Very convenient.
Good. Yeah, well, that's fantastic. And I know that everyone out there is grateful that you are still doing bits and bobs
Oh, yeah.
every now and again, because they love doing your classes. And we've still got a lot come in as well. There's a lot of classes and the new one today as well. And I know that people are very grateful because you've been doing it a while, Dad. You could easily just hang up the pencils and retire.
But I don't want to do that, though. I was talking over the weekend to my son-in-law, and he was giving me a lift to your sisters in the car. We were talking about, retirement. I said, well, I suppose officially, yes, I'm retired in as much as I'm not doing as much, but I would miss it. If I didn't do it, I would miss it. And I love doing it. I love the challenge, and the picture we're going to show today is a challenge. And I tend to do things like that. I look at things and think, that's not going to be easy. That sparks me off then. And consequently, of course, it gives me an opportunity to show people different things that they can do.
Well, let's, as you've brought it up, let's show firstly the picture that you've chosen to do next. So this is the photograph that I'm going to pop up on screen for everyone. I mean, yes, this does look like a challenge. That doesn't look easy. Tell us all why you chose this one.
Well, coming back to what I just said, it's a challenge, and I knew it was going to be. One of the things, I usually go for eyes, don't I? I love doing the eyes. Well, these two beautiful eyes this fella's got, or it might be a lady, I don't know. But you can't distinguish the full eye. You can see the light in the eye, you can see the white in the eye, and you can see a pupil. But it merges with the top of it and the colouring of the animal, so I can't distinguish it. Now, you've got two choices here. You can either try and guess it, which is always a bad thing to do, or you can follow what you see. Now, my policy is you follow what you see. And I'll show you in a minute, because I've got the picture which I did earlier today on that particular section of eye, on the left eye. And you can see that you can't see and you can't distinguish the edge. That doesn't matter as long as you represent it as you've seen. The difficulty is if you try making it up and you go wrong, it's going to spoil it. So I followed what I see. And of course, the other thing is you've got all that hair on either side. Now, again, that looks, oh, well, it's grey. It's not grey. It's got a lovely colour in it. It was my colour. It's this colour here. You can't see it very well, but it's 788 in Caran d'Ache. Now, it's the only one that works. You know, that little sort of greeny, ochre colour that's more on the right side. That was hard to do, because if you put it on raw, it's going to be too strong. So what I had to do was to put the greys on first and then put this into it. But it won't go over the top of dark colour, so you've got to be canny with it. This is what I'm talking about, Steve, when I said, a challenge. And by golly, this is a challenge, but I'm loving every minute of it. And the other thing that I've got to concern myself with is the background. Now, the background, if we look at the left-hand side and we look at the above that, you can see that ochre colour, grey ochre colour, and then you've got a little bit of funny stuff going on where we forget about that. Then you've got the grey at the bottom. So what I've done and what I'm going to do is merging the two together. Now, I think it'll work because on my picture, as I say in a minute, you can see that I'm actually working on that right now. So I'm hoping it's going to work okay. But these are the things that, I find it fascinates me.
So you wouldn't put in the cushion on the right-hand side, the patterned cushion. You'd keep it plain?
Well, you've got to. I'm using the light grey pastel matte paper as well here. So you've got to put another colour basically is grey, and I use the 230 first of all. Now, pastel matte does have a habit, if you're not careful and you don't put enough colour or enough base on, pimply look. Now, that works sometimes very well, and other times it wouldn't do here. So you've got to really make sure that you've got a good base, and by putting 230 on with a little bit of 233 on top of that, blend it in, bit of white, blend that in, and keep going until you get the colour, and then you can use that colour I just mentioned to you, that one. Put a bit of that on.
So the colours on the background, you're keeping it quite plain, like, because obviously in the background of this, there's creases, there's the pattern on the cushion on the right. You're going to keep it plain?
Well, you say that, but what I'll be doing is shading it slightly. If you look at that very carefully, that side, you can see there's elements of grey in it as well, isn't there? Can you see it? Well, what I should do is elaborate that a little more. So we'll have a little bit more of I don't know yet. You see, this is the thing. I really don't know. I'm looking at this now, thinking, how am I going to be able to achieve that? Well, I know I am. But it's going to be really interesting for me to show it on video how actually I do it. But I've got to get it right first time. I can't have a crack at it and think, oh, well, I'll try this. Oh, that doesn't work. Oh, I'll rub it out and do it again. It's got to be done first time. If you don't do it first time, you're going to spoil. So there's the pressure on me.
Well, you sent me a little work in progress because you started the picture, and I think it'd be nice just to see where you're at. I know you've progressed it a little bit further, but this is the picture you sent me. And I mean, I say you've started it. You've done quite a lot of it in this picture. It looks like you've done the sort of straightforward areas first, though, would you say? Is this sort of the fairly straightforward bit before you get to the detail?
Well, yes, the idea here, you can see the areas I've left, the eyes. I can't put them in yet, but what I wanted to make sure that I could do is to work the colour, and there's quite a lot of colour in there, and I'm using the warm greys, and I'm using the bluey greys as well, the cool greys. So a mixture of the two, and but I'm loving the way it's coming up at this moment. But I'm now going to show you. I can't show you a picture of it because I haven't taken one, but I can put the picture up on the screen in a minute, and you can have a look and see how I tackled that eye. Now look at that eye again. Try to think, people who are watching this now, What would you do? How would you do it? Because added to that, you've got a little bit of ochre on that. Do you remember? You see where the white fur or hair is travelling against the eye? Well, you've got some ochre in there as well, haven't you? All got to be done. Because, I mean, I, I didn't have to do it, to be honest, but I'm looking at this. This might be a commission. People might have a commission. If that was a commission, they would insist on me doing it as seen. I can play with the background, I can play, and I can get away with that, but I can't play with the animal. You've got to be as faithful as you can.
Let's show your picture on screen if you can. I'll take that off and show. I'm keen to
Okay.
see that eye now.
All right. Now this is the thing. I'm hoping that you're going to be able to see that. Are you? If I can come closer,
That's pretty
can
good to me.
can you see it?
Yeah.
Now you see what I mean? You see that eye? Now you can't see it. I mean, I don't know how big it is on your screens, but I can't get it nearer because I'll come out of focus. But you
No,
can
it looks
see now
great.
I've got that eye, and in that eye there is blue as well. Just one. Now look at that. Where did you get that from?
Show it on the the left hand side of your. There you go. Oh my gosh, that is a very vibrant blue.
Isn't it just? Now I tell you what, that's on the picture. Where's the picture gone? Where's the picture? That is in right on the edge. I see if I can point it out to you. It's there, just on the edge of the pupil.
Oh wow.
You can't see it, can you?
No.
But it's there. Now, you see, the reason for that is it gives, and it is on the original picture. I can see it on the original picture as well. It just gives a tint of tone. And these are the things that I find really interesting when you're doing something like this.
It's generally these kinds of pictures, the color range fairly kind of not, I wouldn't say bland, but straightforward. Sometimes when you think like, I mean, that's an example of a color I would never have thought would be in a picture like this. But otherwise, is the color spectrum just kind of fairly monotone?
Yes, it is. And see, the ochre that I was talking about, that sort of rusty colour, that was 187. And that's all it is, 187. Nothing else. Just put that on top of the grey and the white. So sometimes it's just one colour and you get away with it. Other times you've got to work on base colours underneath. It's the underneath colour that comes through. We've talked about this one a lot recently when I put backgrounds on, and particularly backgrounds, but it's also on the animal itself. You've got to instinctively know what the ultimate colour you're looking for. You're looking at that. You see, looking at that picture again. This is the original picture now. I can bring back. See this colour here. Now look at that colour there. That's very similar to the colour here, isn't it? So I'm going to have some fun when I get over here because I'm going to do that over here.
Does the sort of slightly simpler range of colors used for this picture make it easier for people or more difficult?
Well, this would be more difficult if you didn't have that colour. You can get away with the blue because I can't remember the colour, but you've got lots of blues. That colour, 143. I think it's 143 is in blue in favour. That would work equal as well. This one's in kettle of fish, but you could still work it. You just have to find colours. You might have to make two colours up. You might have to put an ochre and a yellow together. You can do it. I could do it if I had to. I mean, at one time I didn't have these ranges I've got. You do have to compromise a little bit. But when I've got the pencils here, I use them.
What about domestic animals? Because you've done, so many dogs and cats and things like that in the past. You obviously still really enjoy doing them, otherwise you wouldn't be doing this one. But
No,
is the enjoyment still there of just
oh,
doing
yeah.
cats and dogs? Is it kind of also because it's like a walking riding a bike, you just get back on and you just it's easy for you to do as well?
I'm finding over the last few years, I'm finding it much easier because I'm recalling other pictures I've done, and I know how the effect. I've done hundreds of pictures now. Ones you've seen, ones you haven't. So when you get that kind of experience under your belt, you can kind of call on that experience. It's almost like instinctive. I know when I'm working on that colour particularly, I wanted to put that colour on that we're talking about. I couldn't put it on raw, so how did I base it? I put the white on first, obviously, and then a little grey, not much, light grey, and then I put ivory in. Now the ivory colour is a colour that can change things. It turns a white into a off white, and then you put the white back on, so you kind of mask it a bit. Then you can use these colours I'm talking about very carefully without, you don't put a lot of pressure on, just a touch of colour. I think this is what will happen, and is happening, because we're seeing some fantastic work being done by the students now. And they're following, I think, some of the things that I brought up and I've mentioned over the years. And I'm sure that the pastel pencil is the wonderful medium, as you know, and I wouldn't. I do work in watercolor, but basically I always end up putting pastel on it anyway. But the pastel pencil is a remarkable medium.
Hmm.
It gives you time to think. You don't have to mix a color. You can imagine trying to mix a watercolor, trying to get the right consistency. Oh, that's too dark. I've got to add this color. And I don't decry watercolor, and I love doing it, as you know. But the pastel pencil is a unique material, because you've got, and the more you got, the more range you got, the wider the spectrum of
Hmm. Hmm.
work you can do.
Yeah, fantastic. The obviously you're still working on this one, but there is another one that we've added recently to the school, which I'll put up on screen in a minute. And this one, obviously, that you're doing of the dog, is you're filming this, and this will be a class up on the site as well. So definitely keep us updated. We'll check in next week. I've got a plan for what we'll do next week. Hopefully, talk about this picture that I'm just about to show you. But yeah, it'd be nice to check in with you next week to see how you're getting on with maybe the other eye. The eyes will be in, and we can
Oh yeah,
look at
that
those and see
is the background you've got
see
to
your
start
progress.
thinking about. How's he going to get on with that background, you think? I don't know yet. I'll just have to wait and see.
Mm. But next week, I think we'll do one of our sort of commentary pictures, and we'll talk about this one, the white tiger, that's just gone up in the last week on the school. So if members have logged in, they'll see this one added. If you're not a member and you're interested in doing the class, you can either join the membership or you can buy access to this class with just a one-off payment. And this was a lot of fun to edit. It was so interesting to see you add the sort of more orangey tones later. Like that was really interesting that you sort of started and got the tones and then noticed it and started putting it into it, especially on the head. So I thought this was a really fascinating picture, and this one is live to watch now. So we'll perhaps watch that footage back next week and pick out some highlights, and also be interesting for people that don't have access to the class to kind of get an insight into what was involved in that picture. And there's and there's another one that I'm working on at the moment, which is of the wolf that you did around the same time. Um, and that one will hopefully be going up in the next couple of weeks as well. So big on our animals at the moment, but fantastic to do and see. And I know people have already started some of our latest pictures. I saw one of the tulips go up. I saw one of the brown bears recently as well, that someone's done as well, copying one of your latest classes, and it's looking great. As you said, the work from the students is outstanding, and a testament as well of how far they're coming on with their progression and their skills as they work through your classes. So all good stuff. Excellent. Okay. Well, as always, if anyone has anything they'd like us to discuss, please always just get in touch with us. Happy to talk about other things, but otherwise we'll just keep on talking about your work and the techniques involved and the challenges, and dissecting your pictures. But for now, I think we'll leave it there for this week. So thank you, everyone, for watching and for listening. I'm Stephen Bradley.
And I'm Colin Bradley.
Enjoy
Enjoy
your
your
week.
week.